We have the privilege today of sitting with one of my ministry heroes and somebody who's been very influential in not just the growth of our church, but also our understanding of how we engage culture and how we plant churches. So, Dr. Keller, from henceforth I will call you Tim, if that's okay.
Yes,
Then glad to have you here. I think kind of the main question that I'd love for us just to spend a few minutes on is, as we look into the future, and we think about growing gospel-centered churches that are effective in the next generation. What are the main things that we are probably not prepared for?
Maybe the main thing would be that, well, there's so many things, but the non-Christian culture that's developing around us is really not like other non-Christian cultures. And I do think it's throwing us for a loop when it comes to evangelistically engaging. Mm-hmm. All of the non-Christian cultures, and I mean, Buddhist or Hindu or Muslim or just even the old pagan cultures of Europe that are now gone because Christianity took over there. They all believed in a kind of sacred order, some kind of transcendent sacred order, like God or the law of my ancestors, or the all soul or the universal spirit. Depends if you're Hindu or Everybody says there's a kind of sacred order, and the problem we have is we're not aligned with that sacred order, and therefore that's what's put life out of whack. And the way to get life back in is to align with that sacred order. So you connect with the law of your ancestors, or you find nirvana, or you get good karma, or you find the will of God. In other words, you connect. And even here, up until very recently, the average person you talk to who wasn't a Christian still believed that the purpose of life was to be a good person, and basically to connect with some set of moral absolutes, and the important thing in life was to be a good person. We're living into a culture that's developing that actually is the reverse of that, and says the meaning of life is to free yourself from any idea of a sacred order and choose your own meaning and your own values for yourself. So every other culture says you mature as you get in connection with a sacred order, and this is the first culture in history of the world that says no, you actually mature as you release yourself from the idea that there is anything out there that I need to align with, and I look in my own heart and I decide who I want to be, so you mature by freeing yourself from any idea of a sacred order. In every other culture you connect to it. And Christians have never had to do evangelism in an environment like that. We've never done it. We've never done missionary work in that kind of environment, and we're flailing, and we don't know how to do it. And that's the reason why it's going to take us a fair amount of time to figure out how to have what Leslie Newbigin calls a missionary encounter with a post-Christian Western culture.